Good morning. I was in the middle of planning some things. Oh, planning. I hear this little buzz. I'm like, what's that buzz? Oh, it's 10 o'clock. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, where's my... There it is. Oh, so you get to be with me this morning while I pull myself together. Let me get my headphones in so you guys can hear me well and clear. How is everybody? How is everyone? Let me put my... There we go. All right. Yay! I'm here. I got it. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I was in the middle of trying to plan out potentially our first Healing Pathwalker Psychic Fair. Doesn't that sound awesome? With the people that we work with, some amazing, amazing people. I'm super excited. Okay, so we have one card pull slot left open for you guys today. If anybody wants it, speak now or forever hold your peace. You've got just a few minutes to speak. Let's see. So morning announcements. We've got the chakra workshop. It's going to start being at the full price, which I forgot to write down. So that starts June 1st. So if you want to still get it for the introductory price, then you want to order that soon. Beautiful sunny evening. Beautiful. That's awesome. Okay, Martina, you're our number 3 card pull. The other announcement is, hold on, let me write Martina down. Special. We're running a special right now with Shauna and I doing a joint session. I never do this with anybody, so it's pretty unusual to be able to do a joint session with us, and we're doing 2 for the price of 1. So a joint session with us is the price of 1 full session with me, and you get both Shauna and I, and these are online sessions, so you can be, anywhere in the world, and we can do this work together. The sessions are also recorded, so you can listen to them again and again, as many times as you feel like you need to. Oftentimes I do find people struggle to listen to their sessions again because they're worried about coming back into that space. And then there are others who are just like, oh, I'm so grateful that's recorded. I needed to listen to that again. So good morning, Michelle. Happy Thursday. Hi, Shauna. I just told everybody that we were working on planning a new psychic fair. That's why I was a little bit late. And then the last announcement is Shauna is hosting her first ever event. So excited for her, and it's at her home. It's called Tea with the Angels at Shauna's place. It should be posted on our Healing Pathwalker page. I'm sure we'll post another little thing about it. Maybe Shauna can do it today so that you guys can all see and join her. And that's at her place. You will get tea and a treat and a reading, and bringing. She's inviting people to bring a picture. And she'll do a free reading on one picture for you all. So that sounds like so much fun to me. I'm super excited for her. I might just have to go attend. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and do card pulls. Okay. So I got a new deck, you guys. You might have seen my post about it. I freaking love this deck. And you guys, I would love for you guys to attend Shauna's event too. Okay, so this is called the Circle of Life Tarot. Oh my goodness. When I went, and I'm going to tell you guys this short little story, because you guys know I have been feeling this deep push that there's a new deck out there for me somewhere. And so I'm like, where is this deck? And I ordered, and I got the Galactic Heritage deck, which I absolutely love. But it wasn't the deck that was calling me. And I do love that deck. And I ended up getting a couple of decks, and I gave most of those away, actually. The only ones I kept was that Galactic Heritage deck and the Thoth Tarot deck, and all the other ones I gave away because they weren't mine. And so then I was out last night. I was out yesterday with a friend of mine, Amanda Richards, who's a psychic country rock singer, right? She is freaking amazing. I absolutely love her. And so we were talking and we went out to lunch at Thai food and good morning, Cheryl. We were right next to, Moon Shadow, which is like a Wicca shop, kind of, I guess. It's a magic shop. And so and I had a feeling that I needed to go in there, and I had a feeling the deck that I was looking for, or that was looking for me, was in there, but I don't really like to go in there. And it's a great little shop. It has a ton of stuff, but as you guys know, I tend to steer away from ritualistic practices, and Wicca is very ritualistic. And so, going in there, I'm kind of like, I'm looking at all the tools of ritual, and I'm all, huh. So I tend to avoid it, but it's a beautiful little shop. So anyway, I said to her, I was like, Moon Shadow's right next door. We could go in there if you wanted to. And she goes, oh, it's so funny. Do you remember when they were over on Hawthorne? And we had this whole conversation. It turns out she had been participated in a poem writing contest that they had hosted years, like over a decade ago. And they've been in the Portland area for a really long time. This is a well-established shop. And they ended up naming her an official bard, and I forget the name of the society, but I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. So we decided to go in, and this was the first deck I saw. It was like popping out at me, and I had never heard of circular tarot cards before, and I was just like, those are mine. Can I get them out of the, can you come open the case? And she goes, you can open it. It's okay. I trust you. So I opened it and I pulled them out. And I'm like, here, please, I'm buying these now. Here's my money. Now, thank you. And I went and I sat down and I opened them up. And I was so delighted. Oh my God, you guys, I can't even tell you how much I love these cards. And look at these cards. First of all, look at the back of these cards. Is that not stunning? A beautiful mandala of rainbow colors. It's like a chakra mandala. And they're so round. And they're so amazing. I mean, look at the pictures and imagery on here. I'm just going to show you guys a few of these because look at, oh my God, I love this one. I freaking love this one. I love these cards. I can't even tell you. And one of the things that I love the most about these cards is that when you're doing a reading, when you have that orientation of up and down, or with the corners squared, when you have that orientation, it puts you in a kind of a black and white, very polarized way of reading the cards. You're either blocked or you're not, right? Either blocked or not, blocked or not, blocked or not. Well, with a circular deck, they can come out turned sideways. They can come out pointing to a certain way. They can be kind of upside down. And I realized, oh, this is totally how I'm doing my chakra deck, my chakra oracle deck. I am definitely doing them in circle format. And the woman who runs the shop, Deb, yes, she was telling me that it used to be that tarot, a lot of decks used to be round, and that it fell out of favor not that long back. And so it must have been, before I started reading tarot, because I would have definitely picked up a round deck had I seen it before. So anyway, I was so excited, and today we're going to be doing pulls out of this circular deck. Does that sound like a good idea? And I thought tomorrow for Q&A Friday, what we could do is something fun and special, which I'll tell you about tomorrow, using this deck. Because you know me, my new decks. Okay, so let's see. We have card pulls. Shauna asked for a card pull first. And I'm just going to shuffle my circle deck. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I know I sound ridiculous, but I freaking love this deck. I can't even say it. I can't even tell you how much. And I'm going to tell you guys one other thing. This morning, I'm super wide awake, alert, enthusiastic because I had to get up at the butt crack of dawn to be at the bank because somebody somebody stole almost $1,000 from our savings account. I don't even know how they got our savings account. It was ridiculous. So I had to go into the bank and be like, that's not ours. That's not our charge. Banking, money. Oy, so annoying. Okay, here we go. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Oh my God, I love this card. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I should. I'm like, oh, it's just for me. Yay. Shauna, you got the 10 of Cups, and I'll show it to you in just a moment. You know me, I like to read what the authors have and get to know their voice with their cards. So here's the 10 of Cups. And it says, a man sits upon an armored fish, raising his hands out in celebration. The fish coils protectively around him. The person in this card has reached a new highlight in their life. Now that he is on top, he will need to figure out what is next. He has a companion to help him get where he wants to go, and fuel to get him there. The fish wears armor because it knows that the journey may not always go as smoothly as possible. This card tells us to be proud and to celebrate your achievements. And then it has a short little meaning, completion, expressing gratitude and celebrating a project completed. So Shauna has recently, what she has celebrated, or what she has completed, is some deep, deep self-work. She has been in the thick of it for the last year and a half especially, but really for the last 3 or 4 years. And she had this kind of commitment where she was not going to fully come forward and open herself up fully until she felt she had completed this work. And of course, self-work is never finished. But there's definitely a point when you make that commitment where you go, I'm ready to step forward now. And she's there. She is ready to step forward. So celebrate it, hon. Celebrate it. Find the joy in the freedom and the expression and the love, right? I love that there's this giant golden bowl on top of the head and all these other golden bowls, right? You're fully prepared with all that you need. And it's just so awesome to witness. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. It's amazing. Okay, so that's Shauna's card. Aren't these just amazing? Okay, so Mariah asked for a card pull yesterday also. I don't see her on, but she can always watch the replay. All right. Oh, I love this card. And I got this card last night. So, okay, let's see. And I saw somebody else's on here who you are going to love this card too because it's got a white owl in it. All right, so this is Mariah's card. This is the Queen of Swords. A figure watches the world as her owl flies. The woman scans the horizon for movement. This woman faces a challenge of being able to stay high in the air. She must also take care not to stab her owl with the sword. Her owl gives her a huge advantage, for if she were on the ground, she could not see as far. Her face is determined and her eyes ever perspective. This card tells us that as long as you know what's going on around you, you'll have the upper hand. Keen eye, observation of one's surroundings, and having a sharp mind. Now, the Queen of Swords is also, she's really the queen of the thought, right? The swords are a tool that are created and crafted and honed. That takes great skill to make a good, strong sword. Swords are tempered, right, with hardship, and they become more hard by that process of being burned and melted to almost the point of softness and then doused in this cold water that forces them to cool immediately, right? That tempering. So it's a beautiful concept. And yes, she's being carried by this white owl, right? The white owl symbolizes the knowledge, that inner, deeper knowledge and awareness. And it shows how we are guided even when we don't expect to be or think of ourselves as being guided. Her owl's the one choosing where to fly. She hasn't like put a harness on the owl. She doesn't have a bit on the owl. She's not telling it where to go. She's riding with it, right? So she's in that state of flowing with the owl. So that's another piece that's really important to remember. And she is armed, so she has to be careful because that armory can easily hurt that beast with which she is riding, right? So we always have to keep in mind of those who we're riding with and what we're doing and accomplishing. I love this card. Look at her face. Look at the face on this woman. Isn't this just, the artwork on these are just amazing. I love these cards. I'm probably going to say that like another 30 times. So if you're already annoyed by it, you should just go away because I'm going to say how much I love these cards like until I'm done playing with them. Okay, so for one as well, our last card pool. This is another one that I got yesterday. Funny. It's so funny. Amanda and I decided to exchange readings with each other yesterday. So she read my tarot cards. I love having my cards read by somebody else, which rarely happens. Most people don't want to read for me. I have no idea why. Oh, but this was so funny. You guys are going to love this. So when she was trying, she's like me, right? The cards tell her what to do. If they need to shuffle, if you need to turn some around, if you need to cut it, they let me know when they're done. So it was really lovely watching her do it and seeing her do the same thing. And she's like, okay, these cards are not wanting to go together. What is going on? And she was struggling and she said, maybe this is why people don't want to read for you. And I said, maybe I don't want to know what you have to say. And yes, it was kind of a hard reading, but it was one I needed. The audio is out of sync with the video, Cheryl. Why don't you try jumping out and coming back in? Sometimes the technology just can't keep up with me. I mean, I'm so sorry. Anyway, so then I read her cards with my new circle deck. And then later in the evening, I decided to read my own cards. And I almost literally got the same first 6 cards as her. There were only 2 cards that were different. Positions were a little bit different, but it was like, holy crow, that's so crazy. And throughout the whole, so my spreads are a 13 card pull. They're the alchemical cross when I do a full reading. And they're actually 14 if you include the shadow card. And so, as out of all the 14 cards, all but like 5 of them were different from what was in her reading, Amanda's reading. So talk about just that, we talk about this a lot, how these cards, when we pull them for one person, they're for all of us. They're really for all of us. So that was just this perfect illustration of how that works out. Okay, so Martina, your card. Cheryl, yeah, jump out, come back in. I don't think it's, I'm seeing on my screen over here that it's a normal feed. I have to do this now because I have no bloody idea what's going on with it. Okay, so Martina, your card is Strength. The warrior struggles for control with a lion. The warrior's hands pull the mane of the lion so that the beast's mouth hangs open. The warrior struggles for control. The wild lion does not like being held at bay. Both need to make a decision that could cost them their lives. The warrior's hands grip and hold on tightly to the lion's mane. This card reminds us how to use our personal power in the right amount to get a leg up on any situation. Meaning the eternal struggle to tame the unknown, courage in the face of certain horror. You have it within yourself to succeed. And one of the ways that I view strength as well is that the strength card is pulling up out of yourself that deep visceral strength that we only really bring into play when we feel like our life is on the line. But what would it be if we could harness that strength just because we desire it, because we want to let it up and out, right? What it would be if we didn't have to be in a life or death struggle to find our true strengths. And also, how can we learn how to best manage, right? She is like holding this lion, but lion is much stronger than her. But it's her positioning, how she's holding, how she's using her strength, where she's applying the pressure that is creating the ability to hold this beast back, to change the situation and to give herself an upper hand. So what would it look like if we could really transition our thoughts from having to grapple with something to an ease and a grace of holding and of creating space? So I love this strength card. I think it's a great representation of strength. And I'm getting for you, Martina, as well, it is time for you to pull out your strengths and to stop hiding behind the situation that calls for the strength, but to shine your strength out from where you are. I think that also is coming through for you. Aren't they awesome? I feel like we should do one more card pull. Does anybody else want a card pull? I just really want to keep pulling these cards because I love them. So who else wants a card pull? Oh, I'm sorry. I just love these cards. Like, I slept with them last night. I'll admit, I put the deck under my pillow and I slept with them. Wendy, yay! You knew I wasn't done yet, Wendy. Ooh, I haven't seen this one. Oh, see, this is why I love doing this. Okay, all right. So let me look it up real quick. Another major arcana. And this is card number 7 for you tarot readers. Do you know what major arcana card number 7 slot is normally? I always sleep with my new toys. All right, so you got the Chariot. I think this is such a fun chariot, actually. I really enjoy it. Okay, so a messenger sits in a charioteer's box. He's directing the two sphinxes with a wand, but the chariot does not seem to be moving. The sphinxes seem to want to go in different directions as the sandy surroundings do not have a clear path. The charioteer has an upward battle ahead of him. He needs to learn how to control his steeds, to steer them in a single direction. His vehicle, the cloths providing protection against the sun, are valuable resources that will get him to where he wants to go. The emblem on the front of the chariot displays his quest and his faith. He will get to his destination at just the right moment. Using your intuition to guide you to your destiny, movement, trust in the path, even when you cannot see it. Another thing that, my other deck that has a charioteer, they're riding over water, right? And it's this concept that if you can get your two greatest passions, these two driving forces in your life, to work together, to come into alignment, you can ride across water. You can carry that chariot across any surface. However, if you don't learn how to bring things together, which is also part of temperance, which we referenced earlier, if you don't learn how to bring these things together, then they'll rip your chariot apart. In the olden days, that was part of being a charioteer, was controlling your steeds. And oftentimes when somebody was inexperienced, their chariots would get destroyed in the race. So that was a very important skill, to be able to bring these two horses into a team. And so really right now it's time to bring your team together and to get yourself moving forward in a singular direction. And because there is no path, it's telling you the path isn't what's important. The movement is what's important, that important collective movement to move forward. And the other thing that I really enjoy about this card is he also hasn't harnessed or reined in his two passions. He's also allowing them to guide him. Again, allow your guidance to show you, just like the Queen of Swords was, to drive you and to guide you. We get really stuck in trying to make a decision about where to go, when oftentimes where to go is already laid out perfectly for you. It's that you have to allow your passion to move forward. So I love this card. That's so cool. I love that there's like a checkerboard on the wheels. Okay, all right. I could just do this all day, but that's tomorrow. Tomorrow is the all-day card pull day, right? I get to do it all day tomorrow, right? Okay, so I'm going to put my cards away because they are so distracting. They're so lovely. I just love them. All righty. So today, what we were planning on talking about before I got so thoroughly distracted by my awesome, lovely new car, which really, it's such a great message for us all, right? We've got the Queen of Swords, we've got Strength, we've got the Chariot. What was the first card? Ten of Cups. So this, and also, by the way, the Ten of Cups, let's just talk about that for just a moment, because that actually pulls into what we're going to be talking about for today's show. Is the Ten of Cups is the end of this journey through the subconscious. The cups suit is the vessels, or sometimes it's called the hearts, right? If you were going to read it with regular cards. This is the suit of the emotions. This is the suit of the heart. This is the suit of that subconscious watery realm of what's going on under the surface. And the 10 is at the end of the journey. The journey has been complete. You know, you start with just a new way of feeling about something, and then you bring in a partnership that opens up the more feelings even more, and then it's a progression that eventually leads into the depths of the feelings and having to really go down and understand the motivations, and then coming back up out of those depths and understanding oneself more by having gone through that journey. So the 10 is at the end of that journey, and now everything is provided for you. So it's very much symbolic of not only what Shauna's going through, but what we as a collective race are going through right now. Collectively, we're at the end of an old cycle, an old system. We're in the harvest right now. That's why so many people are leaving the planet, because it's harvest time. So some of them are going on to continue learning those old lessons from the old system. Some are staying to continue carrying forward the race through this transition point. And some are going because they're ready to go on to other things, to other systems, to next levels of development. All these changes are happening right now, and we're kind of at the end. So what that means is it's time to start shucking off the karma that we've been carrying for this cycle before moving forward. Think of it like if you're graduating from high school into college, you clean out your binder. You don't need your high school notes. You need a clean, fresh binder to start again, which means you go through your notes, you go through all your stuff, and you're like, what do I actually think will help me as I move forward in this next level? And what was really just to help me in this level? You know, what do I need to move forward with, and what do I no longer need to pack? My husband used to be a mountaineer, and so when he would climb mountains, every ounce was weighed and measured. And is this going to support me on my journey? Is this going to get me to the next place? Am I going to be at 10,000 feet going, why the hell did I bring this one thing that I didn't even use? Right? So this is that time to start really evaluating and looking for, what do I actually want to pack forward and carry forward, and what's no longer necessary? So right now is that's what we're doing. And today we were talking all week long, we've been talking about mirroring versus projecting and the mirroring system. Yesterday we talked about we shifted that mirroring system, projection system, into looking at it in terms of the law of attraction. And I wanted to play more with that today, with the law of attraction and understanding it a little bit better. I mentioned yesterday that Teal Swan, she gets frustrated at the law of attraction, really frustrated at it. And she has a video talking about about it. And I can totally relate and understand, because it is frustrating when you have things coming and you're like, again? Didn't I learn this lesson? I mean, I've already done this. What the bleep? And that feeling of guilt and shame that you've brought the responsibility or the lesson onto yourself as well. How many of us feel ashamed for our failures, or for our downfalls, or for our struggles, or for our challenges, or for just having a bad day? How many of us hide that away and feel like it's something that we're not allowed to share because we might put somebody else in a bad space. We might need help. Right? So we do all of these things to protect ourselves and to hide away this one whole aspect of who we are. And the reality is, that's where the beauty comes out. We don't watch tragic movies because we want to feel like crap. We watch tragic movies because we want to watch the beauty and the wonder with which somebody can approach a situation that is heartbreaking, that is mind-shattering, that is soul-damaging, and how do they come out of it? We want to witness that, but we don't want to share our own journey. So what would it look like if we stopped feeling so much shame about our hard trials, and instead they became our tragedies that we write and put out and allow others to learn and grow from? How many of you haven't thought of Romeo and Juliet when you're in a love affair? How many of you haven't thought about, like, oh God, our families hate each other? You know? And how many of you to go, okay, listen, we can't turn this into a tragedy. And would you have had that thought had you not heard of that Romeo and Juliet in the first place? Right? So there's so much that we hide, and what we're hiding is the most beautiful part of ourselves. Really, our strengths, our growth, our beauty, our compassion, our love, our allowance, our willingness to show up, even when everything around us is like putting us down. So what would it look like? You guys love that I show up here transparently and share my stories and share my hardships and share the days where I'm sick and I feel crusty and all I want to do is like, ah! And I'm here. And just by being here and sharing it with you guys, it lifts me up. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that I can start the show in the morning and just be, and by the end I'm like, woo, right? Because I'm being witnessed, and it allows me to be more of myself and to find in myself gratitude for my own hardships. And it's the greatest gift. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, yeah, so I wrote some notes to myself for today's show, right? So the game of Can You See Me Now? We have this this part of ourselves. You know, when I was younger, I used to get really hurt, really upset, and I would go hide somewhere. And while I was hiding, I would think in my mind, I really hope they come find me. And sometimes I would hide and I'd be like, in too good of a hiding spot. I don't think they can find me. So I'd move to a slightly less good hiding spot, hoping they'd find me. And because they never came to look for me, this part of myself felt so wounded. I mean, I would like, usually when I go to hide away, the first half of hiding, well, let's say third. The first third of hiding would be crying about whatever it was that upset me and that made me go hide away. The middle third would be contemplating, how long has it been that I've been here? Why haven't they come and found me yet? How come nobody cares that I'm here so upset and so lost, right? All of those feelings would come up, and then I'd be crying because nobody cared, because nobody wanted to find me. Nobody wanted to help me feel better. And I think that, I certainly don't think I'm alone in that kind of concept, that mental replay. Maybe you weren't literally hiding, you know, but maybe you were like in consciousness kind of hiding away, hoping somebody would ask you, are you having a bad day? How are you feeling? Is it not okay right now? You know? And when I got married, my husband's blind. So he never could find me, right? Like, how's he gonna find me? And I still had the adult diversion of that behavior. I would go to the bathroom, or I would go cry on the bed, and I would hope that he would come find me, or find me crying, and then somehow that would allow for a greater space of connection and coming together. And the reality is that we're the ones who have to find ourselves, right? We have to find us. And we have to find ourselves in order to be witnessed. So when we hide away our pain, our sorrow, our shame, our guilt, or all of those things, when we're hiding them away, nobody's really looking. Nobody is, because everybody is hiding. And everybody's waiting to be seen and witnessed for who they really are. And if everybody is hiding in a game of hide and seek and there's no seeker, well then we're all just going to stay hiding in our hidey holes. And so let's be the seekers for each other, okay? If you notice that somebody drops off, go and seek them out. What's going on with you? How are you? But at the same time, recognize it's your responsibility to show up. And when we show up in exactly where we're at, with all of what's going on with us, when we show up that way, everybody else has permission to come out of their hiding spaces too. So we don't have to be alone, right? We don't have to be alone in our pain and our struggles. We don't have to hide away the problems that we're facing, you know? So there's a plant on the table for sorrow to be honored. Yeah. We have to allow that honoring as well. And I think, if you're waiting for that good day to show up on, when is that good day going to come? It kind of reminds me of, we always see those love stories. We'll go back to the love story analogy. We always see those movies or those love stories or those, on TV where the guy has the ring and he's just waiting to ask. He's waiting for the right moment and the right time, but he always ends up just asking it on some random day that isn't the right time at all, because when is the right time? So if you're waiting to show up with your gifts, your abilities, what you came here to be, what your higher soul was like, dude, I'm going to totally plan this whole life out, and I'm going to plan all these scenarios and situations that's going to lead me to right in my exact place so that I can show up and be me. And you don't show up? That's the worst. You just sacked your own plan. Don't do that. Don't sack your own plan. Show up. Show up on that day, even if your hair isn't in the right way, even if you've had the worst possible day, right? There was a day, this reminds me, when I was still doing the intuitive gallery fairs. There was a day where my husband and I had the worst conflict. I mean, we had a really bad conflict, and I honestly, I was like, I didn't know if we would be able to continue on. I really didn't in that moment. And I was signed up for the gallery, and I'd already paid for the gallery to be attending there. So I was like, I'm not paying for something and not going, which is kind of one of those thank goodness mentalities that I have. And so I showed up. And as soon as I got there, one of my lovely, lovely friends, Nicole Smith, who does dream reading and beautiful intuitive, she saw me and she came right to me and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not, but I will be." And, she gave me this huge hug and asked me what was going on. She talked with me while I was setting up my table. I broke into tears. I ended up having, consolation from a couple of people. Then it was like, I told her, I said, I don't even honestly know how I'm going to do this tonight, but I'm here. I knew I had to show up, so I did. And that night I had every person sit at my table was going through almost the exact same struggle that I was going through. And I got to cry with them, and we got to look at the cards and see these situations from these different perspectives. I got to be able to drop my guard a little bit and drop into my own sorrow and my own pain a little bit more, working through it and understanding it a little bit more, because each of those people who came and sat at my table, because they were in the same place that I was at, because they were right where I was, we all understood each other. We understood, and we didn't expect the other one to be so much brighter, so much lighter. And the idea that we have as healers or teachers or mentors or whatever you want to call people like us, lighthouses, beacons, is that we're always supposed to shine so brightly in order for people to find us, and we're supposed to show that it's an amazing life being spiritually connected and guided, and it's so wonderful, and don't you want to be like me, and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is what people really want is to have somebody stand at their side and go, oh God, I totally get it. Right? It's so rough. Oh, right now? Oh my God. And you asked, how do we do it when we're so exhausted? Show up exhausted. Perhaps there are others that are there that are just as exhausted, that need to witness what it is to walk exhausted through the world. That's the whole point, is that we have to show up as we are. And when we show up as we are, with a willingness to face whatever's coming to us, then the mirror reflects that back at us. Others showing up as they are, with a willingness to come in together and accept each other as we are. Right? And that's the goal of spirituality. It is not to have an easier life. It is not to have a happy life. It is not to have a totally complete life. I'm sorry, it's not. Completion is one part of the game. It's one part of the whole. It's to have a whole with everything involved. With the hardship, with the heartbreak, with the love, with the loss, with the death, the despair, with the exhaustion, with the high, with my awesome new cards, right? It's all of it. And that is how we move forward. The charioteer, he can't tell his steeds, slow down, I'm a little tired today. He just allows them to pull him forward, allows that guidance to pull him forward. The Queen of Swords doesn't make her bird go down. She rests on the bird as the bird carries her forward, as the owl carries her. So allow the momentum of your life to carry you forward. Keep plugging away, keep making plans, keep filling out your days with how you want to show up. And if something knocks you off, then pause, reground yourself, reconnect in, look at the mirror. Is this something about myself that I'm not seeing? Is this a way I distract myself? Is this an old pattern or behavior or belief that I believe it doesn't matter what I do or how I show up? Is this an old pattern of, an old karmic pattern? Is this a family karma? Right? And stop judging yourself as bad for being exactly where you are. If you're exhausted, then be exhausted. It's the resistance to the exhaustion, the feeling that, oh, if it were something different, that it would be better. That's what we make suffering. That's where we make our hardships. Wow, that really got my throat. Is there something you want to say, Cheryl? Oh my gosh. Oh, right there. Holy crow. That's like a sticker in my throat. And see, I'm still showing up. Ow. Look at my cards. Okay, sorry about that. Wow, that's really intense. So I'm going to use my compass and I'm going to feel. Is this mine? No. There's something to be said, though. Let me feel it out. Right, Brian? Oh, there we go. Holy cannoli. That was intense. Somebody has a lot to say. I'm not going to feel out exactly who that was because I definitely don't want to like make anybody feel bad. But so this is one of those things, right? Like when we shut ourselves down, shut our voice down, shut what we're supposed to be saying or speaking or sharing, when we shut it down, maybe creating scenarios or situations that make it impossible to show up and to do it, when we shut it down, we're robbing our voice from the unity. And our voice is necessary. Every single voice is necessary. Your voice is no less valuable or important than mine or anyone else in the creation. We all have the most amazing, awe-inspiring gifts to bring into this creation, each and every one of us, that we all need. All of us. So when we shut ourselves down by creating scenarios and situations, because I know this is a hard thing to believe, but we actually do create the entirety of that situation, including all the things that lead to the exhaustion. When we shut ourselves down by using the external to make it impossible for us to show up, we're robbing the collective of our voice, our contribution, our truth, our perspective. And it's necessary. It's so important. So I think whoever it is, this is, by the way, not just one person. This was I'm getting about 4 or 5 of you. And one of you did not like some of that. And I'm sorry. And I know that's hard. I have had to really look at this in my own relationship with my husband. He behaves sometimes in ways where I'm like, it's obvious you're the problem. You are totally the problem. And that became my default. That became my default mechanism. And he started having to say to me, Jesse, all the time, I'm not the problem. I'm not the problem, Jesse. Maybe the problem is partially yours. And there's no reason for any of you to be sorry. I'm fine. It's not the first time my throat has done this. It's fine. Look, I can talk fine now. So he has done that to me and told me before, I'm not the problem. And I'm like, F you, you're totally the problem. Anybody could see that you're the problem. Your behavior is so obvious, right? That was my whole attitude. But when I stopped and said, what if I'm the problem? What if? Just what if? I'm just going to play with it because, I know I'm not the problem, but I'm going to play with the idea using my unity concept, right? So I'm going to look at how did I create this problem? Here's a perfect example. My husband, he's a bit more mechanistic in his concepts, right? He likes things to function. He likes the world to work right. He's the one who keeps us grounded. He's like, Jesse, that costs money, right? Like he brings me back down, brings me grounded, helps me stay anchored, helps me move forward. So he like, let's say, for instance, he wants to know when to expect the groceries to be picked up and be at home. I am not so much that way. I'm like, I didn't feel like going to the grocery store today. It didn't fit in with everything else. I was showing up in all these other ways. That wasn't in my plan for today. I'll do it tomorrow. And by 4 days down that I'll do it tomorrow line, he's like, okay, look, now we're running out of toothpaste. We're almost out of toilet paper. When are you going to go to the grocery store? I don't care when you go. I just want to know when it'll be. He's not trying to tell me when to go, but he wants to set his own expectations. He wants to be able to know what his needs are going to be met, and that he doesn't have to like get an Uber and go to the grocery store. Because for him, he's blind. It's a bigger deal for him to go to the grocery store. So I'm like, quit freaking riding me about the grocery store. It's not such a big deal, okay? Like, I will go. Like, get out of I used to say, crawl out of my butt. And, and I would get really angry with him for trying to micromanage and control me. Now, anybody who could look at it from the outside would be like, wow, yeah, he totally micromanages and controls you. They're not seeing the 5 days before where I kept saying, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and not do it. So there's all that disappointment that's been built up for him. He's waiting for some of the things from the grocery store. So I created that pattern. I created that conflict, even though he's the one that's coming forward and saying blah, 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 blah. And I'm responding blah, 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 right? It doesn't matter what the words are. I have created it because I'm the housewife. It's my job to go to the grocery store. And that's the role. That's the pick. I don't have to go work at a company. I don't have to go out of my home to work. I get to the freedom, the beauty, the allowance to be able to show up here like this for you guys, for myself, for my clients, for my students, however I want to. I get to do all of that totally free, but I have to do the housework. I'm the housewife. I have to do the chores. I have to go to the grocery store, right? That's how I do my contribution to the house. So this is the problem that we get into. So when we have a situation that it's like anybody would see this is horrible and exhausting and awful and terrible and blah, 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 blah. Did we set it up? Did we create it in some way, right? So when we're doing that and we want to blame that mirror or what we're attracting, what we're drawing to us to learn from, when we're drawing the mirror to us, we can't get mad at the mirror. It's just displaying what is, where we're at. And the truth was, internally, with that whole, I'll go to the grocery store, I was actually having a really hard time showing up in the way I wanted to, sticking to my plan, sticking to my own agendas. I was struggling with that. And I was really frustrated with myself for allowing my exhaustion, my irritation, my feeling sad, my feeling overwhelmed, my indulgence in watching TV, my indulgence in getting lost in my work. I was getting frustrated with that about myself. And I was frustrated with not showing up on the timelines that I wanted to, right? I love having you go to the grocery store with me. You can come anytime. So, we create these situations for ourselves. We create all the points that lead up to the situation, and then we get mad at the situation. So, that's another piece of the whole mirroring and law of attraction thing, that it's time for us to all start really looking at and really understanding. Maybe it's that you don't feel like you can speak your truth because you're going to a family function and the family, you're not allowed to speak your truth at that family function. Well, don't go. You're an adult. You're a grown-up. You don't have to make those choices anymore. You get to choose differently. Or show up. You're not responsible for how people respond to you. I show up just like me at anything I go to. And I say what comes to my mind. And if they don't want me there, they don't invite me. Most people don't invite me to family functions. Most of my family. Right? So you have to give yourself permission as well to be who you're supposed to be and to allow the mirror to show it back. And that's part of, that chariot, allowing your passions to guide you. Your chariot, if you're really letting your passions guide you, your passion and your drive you, you're not going to show up in places where you're not supposed to be. And, I believe I'm supposed to be everywhere personally. I just believe that it's a gift to have me show up, and it's a gift to have you show up, and it's a gift to be able to show up with others and see them show up as them full selves. And I love that. I think that's what's amazing. And you can do that all day long, and you won't be so exhausted, right? So much more fun to be your full self, right? Mirroring is powerful. All right, so that was what I really wanted to talk about to wrap up that conversation about mirroring versus law of attraction versus projection. If you guys have any more questions about this. Oh, by the way, this reminds me. After the show yesterday, we did a powerful meditation about looking in allowance, and I wanted to finish that up, but I didn't give myself time for it today. I had meant to. That was what I wrote down. Learning how to love the parts that you find in the mirror. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that perhaps we need a little more time to find the mirror parts. Tomorrow, let's do the loving those mirror parts. We have actually done this work, all of this work, when we did our victimhood week, where we were looking at all the different ways that we create ourselves to be the victim, and how do we find those parts, and how do we bring them in and love them. So we have done this before, but I will do that meditation tomorrow. I was just so excited about my cards. Sorry. And we will also answer any questions that people have about mirroring, projection, law of attraction, about fractured states, all of that stuff. We'll do any questions that you have about that. You can PM me. But yesterday, water element at noon. Perfect. That's awesome, Brian. So yesterday, one of my viewers messaged me and said, "What if when you look at the mirror, you don't see anybody that you're judging? You're just judging yourself." So I flowed out a response to her, and I posted it in the Healing Pathwalkers group. If you're curious about that as well, go to the group, look for the posting. It's pretty close to the top, and you can see my response to that and what that's really talking about. If you're watching the show and you're not a part of the Healing Pathwalker group, join it. It's a fun little group. It's growing every day. We have lots of cool stuff get posted in there, lots of neat information. Brian does his what do we call them, Brian? His shows, his little meditation, I don't even know what to call them, Brian. Like his power working sessions. There we go. So yeah, check it out. It's a great space, and that's where we make sure to post all sorts of different things about Healing Pathwalkers, and you can find more information about us there. His stuff. That's where Brian does his stuff, which is awesome stuff. I love his stuff. By the way, that ball passing thing you did, that was awesome. That was so awesome. I had so much fun, and it was hilarious. Like, I had just joined in, and you're like, "Oh, hello, somebody else joined in." And I'm like, "I did," even though I watched it like an hour or 2 hours after you did it. It was very funny. I loved it. I loved that. That was great. And Brian is another one. He shows up. He just shows up. He doesn't doll himself up. He doesn't like put himself in a fancy suit. He doesn't like stage the whole room. He doesn't put a big sheet to hide himself behind. He just shows up. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for showing up. And I love you guys, and I will see you all tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I love you anyway. And I'll see you whenever. Bye, guys. Love you.